The space around Nexus Prime had been quiet for 300 years. Admiral Krextal stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. His four eyes scanned the empty void with practiced ease. Nothing ever happened in this sector. The Vorthak Empire controlled everything, and no one dared challenge them. "Admiral," his sensor officer called out, his voice shaking. "We have an unknown energy reading." Krextal turned his massive head toward the control station. "Explain." "Something big is coming through. I don't know what it is. The energy pattern doesn't match anything in our database." The space in front of them began to twist and bend. Purple light crackled through the darkness, forming a circle that grew larger and larger. The Vorthak crew watched in silence as reality itself seemed to tear open. Then it appeared. The ship that emerged from the purple portal was unlike anything the Vorthak had ever seen. It was huge, maybe 3 times the size of their largest dreadnought. Its hull was smooth and dark, with strange blue lights running along its surface. The design was clean and sharp, with no unnecessary decorations or spikes like Vorthak ships. "All ships battle formation," Krextal ordered. His 12 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts moved quickly to surround the strange vessel. On the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance, Captain Daeho Kim stood calmly as his crew reported their situation. He was a tall man with graying hair and steady eyes. He had commanded this ship for 10 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. "Captain," said Lieutenant Haynul Park, his tactical officer, "we have 14 alien ships surrounding us. They're powering up weapons. Any response to our identification signals?" Daeho asked. "Nothing, sir. They don't seem to understand our communications." Chief Engineer Tae-Min Lee looked up from his console. "All systems are working perfectly after the fold space jump. Shields at full power, weapons ready." Daeho nodded. They had spent months preparing for this moment. Humanity's first contact with alien life would either go very well or very badly. The alien ships were massive by human standards, but their design looked old. Thick armor plating, large gun turrets, and visible exhaust ports suggested technology that was powerful, but not efficient. The Soul's Vengeance, by comparison, looked like it had been built by artists rather than warriors. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Jiwoo Choi. She was young, but had studied 17 different alien languages during the flight to this region. "They're broadcasting in multiple languages. I can understand some of it." "Pull it through," Daeho said. Admiral Krextal's voice filled the bridge, speaking in harsh, guttural tones. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Vorthak space without permission. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed." Jiwoo quickly worked on her translation computer. "I can respond in their language, Captain." "Do it." Jiwoo activated the communication system and spoke carefully in Vorthak. "This is Captain Daeho Kim of the Terran Federation starship Soul's Vengeance. You are blocking our navigation route. Stand down." The silence that followed lasted for several minutes. On the Vorthak flagship, Admiral Krextal stared at his communication officer in confusion. "Did they just speak perfect Vorthak?" he asked. "Yes, sir. But the word Terran doesn't exist in our database. No species by that name has ever been recorded." Krextal felt a chill run through his body. In 3,000 years of galactic conquest, the Vorthak Empire had encountered every intelligent species in known space. They had detailed records of every planet, every technology, every possible threat. Nothing existed without their knowledge. "Where do you come from?" Krextal demanded over the communication channel. Captain Daeho looked at his crew and made a decision that would change galactic history. "We come from a planet called Earth. It's located in what you probably consider empty space." On the Vorthak ship, Science Officer Yunjiro quickly checked the star charts. "Admiral, there is a region we marked as uninhabitable about 400 years ago. Our probe ships were destroyed by primitive life forms. We wrote it off as too dangerous to colonize." Krextal's blood ran cold. The creatures that had destroyed their scouts had somehow developed space travel, but that was impossible. His science teams had calculated that any species in that region would need at least 10,000 years to develop basic technology. "How long has your species had space travel?" Krextal asked. "Long enough. Daeho replied simply. Weapons specialist Hyunwoo Nam whispered to his captain, Sir, their weapons are primitive plasma-based systems. Our shields can handle anything they throw at us. Daeho nodded but kept his expression neutral. The Soul's Vengeance had been built using technology that was centuries ahead of anything the Vorthak possessed, but there was no need to reveal that information yet. Admiral Krextal was growing impatient. These humans, whatever they were, showed no fear of his massive fleet. No species had ever been so calm when facing Vorthak firepower. You will surrender your ship for inspection, Krextal ordered. Any resistance will result in your destruction. Chief Medical Officer Su Min Kang looked up from her medical bay monitors. Captain, I'm detecting high stress levels from the alien ships. Their heart rates are elevated. I think they're scared. Scared of us? Asked Hanyul Park. No, Su Min replied. Scared of the unknown. They've never encountered anything they couldn't immediately identify and catalog. Captain Daeho understood. The Vorthak Empire had ruled through fear and superior technology for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to face something truly unknown. They were bullies who had never met anyone stronger than themselves. Ji-woo, open a channel, Daeho ordered. Channel open, sir. Admiral Krextal, we are explorers seeking peaceful contact with galactic civilization. We have no hostile intentions. However, we will defend ourselves if attacked. The Vorthak Admiral laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Defend yourselves? You are one ship against 14. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Engineer Tae-min Lee shook his head. Captain, their largest ships generate about as much power as our shuttlecraft. This isn't going to be much of a fight. Let's hope it doesn't come to a fight, Daeho replied. But deep down he knew it would. The Vorthak Empire had ruled through violence for 3 millennia. They would not accept the existence of a superior species without testing their strength first. Admiral Krextal cut the communication and turned to his weapons officer. Prepare for pacification bombardment. Disable their engines and weapons. Systems. I want them alive for questioning. The 14 Vorthak ships powered up their weapons, energy crackling along their hulls. In moments, they would unleash enough firepower to cripple any known starship. On the Soul's Vengeance, Captain Daeho looked at his crew one final time before the shooting started. Remember, we represent all of humanity today. Let's make a good first impression. The first shots were about to be fired and galactic history was about to change forever. The Vorthak weapons fired all at once. 14 massive ships unleashed their pacification bombardment, sending waves of plasma energy toward the human vessel. The space around Soul's Vengeance lit up like a star as the alien weapons struck their target. Admiral Krextal watched his tactical display with satisfaction. No ship had ever survived a full pacification bombardment from his fleet. The human vessel would be disabled and ready for capture within minutes, but the light faded, and the Soul's Vengeance remained exactly where it had been. Not a single scratch marked its dark hull. The blue lights along its surface continued to glow steadily as if nothing had happened. Damage report, Krextal demanded. His weapons officer stared at his console in confusion. No damage detected, sir. Their ship shows no signs of system failure or hull damage. That's impossible. Run a diagnostic on our weapons systems. All weapons functioning normally, Admiral. We hit them with enough energy to disable a battle station. On the human ship, Science Officer Min Ho Jang calmly reported to Captain Daeho. Minor energy discharge detected against our shields. No damage to any systems. They were trying to disable us without destroying us, observed Tactical Officer Hanyul Park. Interesting approach. Captain Daeho nodded. It tells us something about their intentions. They want prisoners, not corpses. Communications Officer Jiwoo Choi looked up from her station. Captain, I'm receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleet. They seem very confused. What are they saying? Mostly technical discussions about weapon malfunctions and system failures. They can't understand why their attack didn't work. Chief Engineer Tae-min Lee smiled slightly. Their plasma weapons are about as advanced as our great-grandfather's technology. It's like trying to hurt a modern tank with a musket. Admiral Krextal was becoming desperate. His entire understanding of the universe was being challenged by this one strange ship. In 3,000 years of conquest, Vorac weapons had never failed completely. Full power assault, he ordered. All ships, maximum firepower. Destroy them. The Vorac fleet opened fire again, this time with killing intent. Massive energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and particle cannons all focused on the Soul's vengeance. The combined firepower was enough to turn a small moon into dust. The human ship sat motionless in the storm of energy, completely unharmed. Chief, Medical Officer Suman Kang treated a crew member who had bumped his head when the ship rocked slightly from the impact. Captain, the aliens seem to be getting more excited. Their stress readings are off the charts. They're realizing that their most powerful weapons can't even scratch our paint, said weapons specialist Hyunwoo Nam. Should I return fire? Captain Daeho considered his options carefully. Humanity had spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment, studying every piece of information they could gather about galactic civilization. They knew the Vorac Empire ruled through fear and superior firepower. The only way to earn their respect was to demonstrate superior strength. One warning shot, Daeho decided. Minimum power setting. Target the smallest ship in their fleet. Hyunwoo. Nam's fingers moved across his weapons console. Particle beam array charged to 0.01% power, targeting the heavy cruiser on our starboard side. Fire. A thin beam of blue light shot out from the Soul's vengeance. It lasted for less than a second and made no sound in the vacuum of space. The Vorac heavy cruiser, a massive warship that had conquered dozens of worlds, simply disappeared. One moment it was there, the next moment there was empty space. No explosion, no debris, no energy signature. The ship and its crew of 800 had been completely disintegrated at the molecular level. Silence filled both fleets as everyone tried to process what they had just witnessed. Where did it go? Whispered a Vorac sensor operator. Admiral. Krextel stared at the empty space where his cruiser had been. His claws gripped his command chair so tightly that the metal began to bend. Science Officer Yoon Ji-ro was frantically analyzing her sensor data. Admiral, the energy reading from their weapon. It's impossible. That single shot contained more concentrated power than our entire fleet generates at maximum output. You're saying one weapon on their ship is more powerful than all of our gay weapons combined? No, sir. I'm saying their warning shot was more powerful than our entire fleet. If they had intended to destroy us all, we would already be dead. The terrible truth was sinking in. The Vorac Empire, rulers of the galaxy for 3 millennia, had encountered a species so technologically advanced that their most powerful weapons were like throwing rocks at a fortress. Captain Daeho opened communications again. Admiral Krextal, that was a demonstration. We do not wish to harm you, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Admiral Krextal's voice came back shaky and uncertain. What? What do you want from us? To talk. Nothing more. We are explorers, not conquerors. On the Vorac flagship, Admiral Krextal was facing the first real crisis of his military career. His options were simple. Try to fight an enemy that could vaporize his entire fleet without effort, or attempt to communicate with them. All ships, hold position, he ordered. Do not fire unless I give the direct command. His communications officer looked relieved. The crew had all seen what happened to the heavy cruiser. What species are you? Admiral Krextal asked over the open channel. We call ourselves humans, Captain Daeho replied. We come from a small blue planet in what you consider empty space. How long have you had this technology? Long enough to know that we are not alone in the universe. Xenobiologist Sujin Yang was analyzing the alien transmissions and making disturbing discoveries. Captain, based on their language patterns and cultural references, I believe these creatures are the same species that destroyed our probe ships 400 years ago. Captain Daeho nodded. I suspected as much. They thought they had eliminated a primitive threat. Instead, they gave us proof that we needed to prepare for eventual contact. The irony is incredible, Sujin continued. Their attack on our early probe ships taught us that hostile aliens existed. That knowledge drove our rapid technological development. They created their own worst nightmare. Admiral Krextal was trying to make sense of the situation. If you are so powerful, why have you not conquered the galaxy yourselves? Because we do not believe in conquest, Deho replied. We prefer cooperation. The concept was foreign to the Vorthak mind. For 3,000 years they had known only domination and submission. The idea of voluntary cooperation between species was almost incomprehensible. What do you propose? Admiral Krextal asked carefully. A meeting. Representatives from both our species on neutral ground. We have much to discuss. Engineer Taemin Lee looked up from his console. Captain, I'm detecting more ships approaching this system. Vorthak reinforcements. How many? At least 50 heavy cruisers and 10 dreadnoughts. They must have called for backup. Captain Deho sighed. The situation was about to become much more complicated. Admiral Krextal had probably sent word to his superiors about the strange new threat. The Vorthak response would be predictable. Send enough firepower to destroy anything. Admiral, Deho said over the communication channel, I believe you. Have reinforcements coming? Krextal was surprised that the humans had detected the approaching fleet so easily. Yes. Standard procedure when encountering unknown threats. I hope you will explain to them what you have learned here today. We do not wish to destroy more ships unnecessarily. The casual way the human captain spoke about destroying ships sent chills through the Vorthak crew. To them, each warship represented decades of construction and hundreds of lives. To the humans, apparently, they were minor inconveniences. Admiral Krextal realized that everything he thought he knew about power and strength was wrong. His empire had ruled through fear, but they had never encountered true power before today. The reinforcement fleet was arriving, and decisions would have to be made that could determine the fate of the galaxy. The Vorthak reinforcement fleet dropped out of hyperspace with the confidence of predators. 60 massive warships arranged themselves in perfect battle formation, their weapons already charged and ready. Admiral Vexthor, commander of the reinforcement fleet, had received word of a single alien ship causing problems. He had brought enough firepower to destroy a small solar system. Admiral Krextal, Vexthor's voice crackled over the communication system. Report your status immediately. Admiral Krextal looked at the Soul's Vengeance, still floating calmly among his original fleet. He had to explain the impossible situation to his superior officer without sounding insane. Admiral Vexthor, the situation is complicated. The alien vessel has demonstrated technology far beyond our understanding. Explain. They destroyed the cruiser Dominator with a single shot. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses. Silence filled the communication channel for several moments. Then Admiral Vexthor's voice returned, hard and angry. Are you telling me that one alien ship defeated your entire fleet? I am telling you that they could have destroyed my entire fleet but chose not to. They claimed to want peaceful contact. Admiral Vexthor studied the tactical display showing the single human ship surrounded by 74 Vorthak vessels. The alien ship was badly outnumbered, but Admiral Krextal seemed genuinely frightened. This was a veteran commander who had conquered 12 star systems without losing a single battle. All ships surround the alien vessel, Admiral Vexthor ordered. If they resist, destroy them. On the Soul's Vengeance, Tactical Officer Hanul Park watched the new ships take position around them. Captain, we now have 74 hostile vessels in attack formation. They have us completely surrounded. Captain Deho looked at the tactical display with mild interest. Any change in their technology level? No, sir. Same plasma-based weapons and energy shields. Their largest ships are still generating less power than our auxiliary systems. Science Officer Minho Jiang was studying the alien fleet movements. Captain, their formation suggests they plan to attack from all directions simultaneously. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers. A reasonable strategy if they had weapons that could actually damage us, replied Weapons Specialist Hyun Woo. Namdot Chief Engineer Taemin Lee shook his head as he watched the alien ships maneuvering. It's like watching children play with toy weapons. They have no idea what they're facing. Admiral Vexthor opened a communication channel to the human ship. Alien vessel, you are outnumbered 74 to 1. Surrender immediately or face total destruction, Captain Daeho responded calmly. I am Captain Daeho Kim of the Soul's Vengeance. We are here for peaceful exploration. We do not wish to fight, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. You are in no position to make demands, Admiral Vexthor replied. Surrender now. Admiral, Captain Daeho said carefully. I suggest you speak with Admiral Krextal before taking any hostile action. He can explain what happened to your missing cruiser. Admiral Vexthor switched to a private channel with his fellow admiral. Krextal, what happened to the Dominator? They vaporized it with a single shot set to minimum power. Vexthor, listen to me carefully. We cannot win this fight. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Impossible. No species in the galaxy has technology superior to ours. This species does. They call themselves humans, and they come from outside our known space. Admiral Vexthor refused to believe what he was hearing. The Vorthak Empire had spent 3,000 years ensuring that no species could challenge their technological supremacy. They had destroyed or conquered every advanced civilization they encountered. All ships prepare for maximum assault, Admiral Vexthor ordered. We will test their defenses properly. Communications Officer Ji-Woo Choi looked up from her station. Captain, the alien fleet is powering up all weapons. I think they're planning to attack with everything they have. Are you detecting any new weapon types? Captain Daeho asked. No, sir. Same primitive plasma technology, just more of it. Captain Daeho sighed. He had hoped the aliens would be reasonable, but their empire was built on the belief that superior firepower could solve any problem. They were about to learn otherwise. All hands prepare for incoming fire, he announced over the ship's communication system. This may cause some minor turbulence. 74 Vorthak warships opened fire simultaneously. The space around Soul's Vengeance became a nightmare of energy beams, plasma bolts, and particle streams. Enough destructive power to sterilize several planets focused on the single human vessel. The attack lasted for 30 seconds. When it ended, the Soul's Vengeance remained exactly where it had been, completely undamaged. Chief Medical Officer Sumin Kang reported from the medical bay. 2 crew members treated for minor bruises when they were knocked over by the ship's movement. No serious injuries. The ship moved? Asked Engineer Taemin Lee in surprise. About 3 centimeters, Sumin replied. Barely noticeable. The POW. Combined firepower of 74 advanced warships had moved the human ship 3 centimeters. Admiral Vexthor stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Damage report on the alien vessel. No damage detected, sir. Their shields show no signs of weakening or system strain. Run full diagnostics on all weapon systems. All weapons functioning at peak efficiency, Admiral. We hit them with everything we have. On the human ship, Captain Daeho was reaching the end of his patience. The aliens had now attacked them twice without provocation. It was time to make a more serious demonstration. Hyunwoo, target 10 of their ships. Use setting 2 on the particle beam array. Weapons specialist Hyunwoo Nam looked surprised. Sir, setting 2 will completely destroy them. I know, but they need to understand the consequences of continued aggression. Targeting 10 vessels. Particle beam array charged to setting 2. Fire. 10. Blue beams shot out from the Soul's Vengeance. 10 Vorthak warships disappeared instantly, vaporized so completely that not even atoms remained. The beams had lasted less than a second each. The remaining 64 ships stopped moving. Every crew member in the Vorthak fleet was staring at empty space where 10 mighty warships had existed moments before. They destroyed 10 ships in 1 second, whispered a Vorthak weapons officer. Admiral Vexthor felt ice forming in his stomach. How many shots did they fire? 10, sir. 1 shot per ship. Perfect accuracy. Power readings on their weapons? Still minimal, Admiral. Based on energy discharge, they used less than 1% of their total power capacity. The implications were terrifying. If the humans were using 1% of their power to destroy 10 ships instantly, what could they do at full power? Captain Daeho opened communications again. Admirals, this is your final warning. We do not wish to destroy your fleets, but we will defend ourselves. Stand down your weapons and withdraw to a safe distance. Admiral Krextall immediately responded. All ships, power down weapons and retreat to minimum safe distance. Admiral Vexthor was slower to react. His pride was struggling with the reality of the situation. Vexthor, do it now, Krextall urged. Unless you want to explain to the Emperor how you lost 64 ships to a single enemy vessel. All ships withdraw, Admiral Vexthor finally ordered. The Vorthak fleet pulled back to a respectful distance, their weapons powered down. For the first time in their empire's history, they had encountered a force they could not defeat through. Violent Science Officer Minho Jiang was monitoring the alien fleet movements. Captain, they're maintaining position at approximately 50,000 kilometers. Far enough to avoid immediate destruction, but close enough to keep us under observation. Smart of them, Captain Deho replied. They're learning. Tactical Officer. Haniel Park was studying the tactical situation. Sir, we could easily destroy their entire fleet from this range. Should I target their command ships? No. We've made our point. Now we wait to see if they're willing to talk like civilized beings. Engineer Taemin Lee was monitoring their systems. Captain, the Fold space drive is still charged. We could jump to any location in the galaxy within minutes. Good to know, but I don't think we'll need to run from these ships. The Vorthak fleet hung in space, their commanders struggling to accept what had happened. They had brought enough firepower to conquer a small empire, and a single alien ship had effortlessly defeated them. Admiral Vexthor finally opened a communication channel to the human ship. What are your terms for our survival? Captain Deho smiled slightly. Now they were ready to listen. We don't want your surrender, Admiral. We want to talk. News of the encounter reached the Vorthak capital within hours. Emperor Vorthak himself, ruler of 3,000 star systems, sat on his throne made from the bones of conquered enemies. The throne room was massive, designed to make visitors feel small and powerless. Today, however, the Emperor felt small himself. Explain this report again, the Emperor demanded, his voice echoing through the chamber. General Kexmar, the Empire's chief military strategist, stood before the throne, with visible nervousness. Your Majesty, 2 of our best admirals encountered a single alien vessel. This ship destroyed 11 of our warships with minimal effort and showed complete immunity to our weapons. And you believe this report is accurate? Both admirals confirm the details independently, Your Majesty. The aliens call themselves humans and claim to come from a region we considered uninhabitable. Admiral Zafira, commander of the Imperial Navy, stepped forward. Your Majesty, I have reviewed the sensor recordings myself. The alien vessel's energy output suggests technology far beyond our current capabilities. Emperor Vorthak had ruled for over 2 centuries, conquering every species that dared oppose him. His empire was built on the simple principle that superior technology and overwhelming force could defeat any enemy. This was the first time anyone had suggested the Vorthak were not the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. How many ships do these humans have? The Emperor asked. Unknown, Your Majesty, replied Intelligence Director Veltharion. However, our deep space monitoring stations have detected similar energy signatures appearing throughout the galaxy. They may have multiple vessels conducting exploration. The Emperor's claws scraped against his throne. Multiple human ships meant the threat was even greater than initially reported. If each ship was as powerful as the one his admirals encountered, the Empire could face a serious challenge to its authority. What do they want? The Emperor asked. According to Admiral Krextall, they claim to seek peaceful contact and exploration. They have requested a diplomatic meeting. Peaceful contact. The Emperor laughed bitterly. In his experience, advanced species always claimed peaceful intentions while preparing for conquest. Prepare our most experienced diplomat. If these humans want to talk, we will listen. But prepare the Grand Fleet as well. I want every available warship ready for battle. On the neutral trading station, Harmony's Rest, Dr. Youngsu Shin checked his diplomatic credentials one final time. He was a small, quiet man who had spent decades studying alien cultures and languages. Today, he would represent all of humanity in its first formal contact with galactic civilization. Are you nervous? asked Cultural Liaison Hyejin Moon as she reviewed her notes on Vorthak society. Terrified, Dr. Young-Soo admitted. But that's normal for first contact situations. Military attaché Dong Hwan Ko was monitoring the station's security systems. Our escort ships are in position. Captain Jin Aseo has the Busan's Pride standing by if we need immediate evacuation. The human delegation had arrived on a small shuttle that looked unremarkable to casual observers. However, the shuttle had traveled through a solar storm that would have destroyed most ships in the galaxy. The station's sensors couldn't even detect how the shuttle's shields worked. Counselor Thexandra, the Vorthak Empire's most skilled diplomat, arrived with a full honor guard of elite warriors. She expected to negotiate with a typical emerging species that would be impressed by imperial power and pageantry. Instead, she found herself facing 3 humans who seemed completely unimpressed by her display. "Welcome to Harmony's Rest," Dr. Young-Soo said in perfect Vorthak, standing to greet the alien delegation. "I am Dr. Young-Soo Shin, representing the Terran Federation." Thexandra was surprised by his flawless pronunciation and formal diplomatic protocol. Most primitive species made basic errors when attempting galactic standard etiquette. "I am Counselor Thexandra, speaking for His Imperial Majesty Emperor Vorthak. We are here to discuss your species' intentions. Please sit." Dr. Young-Soo gestured to the conference table. "We have much to discuss." As the negotiations began, Thexandra quickly realized she was not dealing with a typical emerging civilization. Dr. Young-Soo demonstrated detailed knowledge of galactic politics, trade routes, and military deployments. He spoke about other species and their territories with the familiarity of someone who had been studying the galaxy for decades. "How long has your species been observing galactic civilization?" Thexandra asked carefully. "Long enough to understand the political situation," Dr. Young-Soo replied diplomatically. Cultural Liaison Hyejin Moon activated a holographic display showing human agricultural techniques. "We would like to share certain technologies that could improve crop yields on worlds affected by climate change." The technology displayed was decades ahead of anything the Vorthak possessed. Plants that could grow in toxic soil, irrigation systems that required no external power, and genetic modifications that increased nutrition while reducing water consumption. "What do you want in return?" Thexandra asked suspiciously. "Star charts and cultural databases," Dr. Young-Soo replied. "We are explorers. Knowledge is more valuable to us than territory or resources." Military attaché Dong Hwan Ko was monitoring the station's communication systems when he detected something interesting. "Dr. Shin, I'm picking up coded transmissions to multiple Vorthak ships positioned throughout this system." Dr. Young-Soo nodded calmly. "How many ships, Counselor?" Thexandra was surprised that the humans had detected the hidden fleet so easily. 12 heavy cruisers for security purposes only." "Of course, Captain Seo. Please do a detailed scan of the Vorthak vessels and send the results to the Counselor." On the Busan's Pride, Captain Jin Aseo activated her ship's sensor array. The data that appeared on her screen showed every detail of the Vorthak ships: crew numbers, weapon capacities, shield strengths, and even the personal quarters of individual officers. The sensor data was transmitted to the conference room, where it appeared on the holographic display. Thexandra stared at the impossibly detailed scans of her own ships. The humans had penetrated every security system and analyzed every component without the Vorthak even knowing they were being scanned. "Your stealth technology is interesting," Dr. Young-Soo commented politely. Though not particularly effective, Thexandra realized that the humans had been monitoring the hidden fleet from the moment they arrived. Security Chief Sung-Ho Bei's voice came through the communication system. "Dr. Shin, the alien vessel's weapons couldn't penetrate our shuttle's shields. Their most advanced technology is roughly equivalent to our civilian transport systems. The casual mention that their most powerful warships were less advanced than human civilian vehicles sent chills through the Vorthak delegation." "What are your species' military capabilities?" Thexandra asked bluntly. Dr. Young-Soo smiled politely. "Sufficient for our defense needs." Medical researcher Ye-Jin Kim chose that moment to demonstrate human healing technology. One of the Vorthak honor guards had an old injury that had left him with a missing arm. With Yejin's permission, she activated a small medical device that completely regenerated the lost limb in less than 5 minutes. The Vorthak guard stared at his new arm in amazement. Regeneration of lost limbs was considered impossible by Imperial medical science. "This is just basic emergency medical equipment," Yejin explained casually. Texandra was beginning to understand the scope of humanity's technological advantage. Their basic medical devices could perform miracles. Their civilian shuttles outperformed military warships. Their sensors could penetrate any defense system. "What assurance do we have that your species will not use this technology for conquest?" she asked. "The same assurance we have that you will not use your weapons against peaceful shipping," Dr. Youngsu replied. "Trust must be built through actions, not words." As the negotiations continued, Texandra sent regular reports back to the Imperial capital. Each report painted a more disturbing picture of human capabilities. They were not dealing with an emerging species that could be intimidated or controlled. They were dealing with a civilization so advanced that the Vorthak Empire looked primitive by comparison. Emperor Vorthak read the reports with growing alarm. The humans were offering to share technology that could revolutionize Imperial society, but they were also demonstrating capabilities that made Imperial military power irrelevant. "What do our military analysts recommend?" the Emperor asked. General Kexmar looked uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, our preliminary assessment suggests that military resistance would be futile. A single human ship destroyed 11 of our vessels, without effort. If they have a fleet of such ships, they could destroy our entire empire," the Emperor finished. The choice was becoming clear. The Vorthak Empire could either accept humanity as a superior species and attempt to build a peaceful relationship, or they could fight and face inevitable destruction. For the first time in his long reign, Emperor Vorthak was facing an enemy he could not defeat through force. Emperor Vorthak stood on the observation deck of his palace, looking out at the massive fleet that protected his capital world. 2,000 warships filled the space around his planet, representing the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Yet after reading the reports from the diplomatic meeting, he knew this fleet would be useless against the humans. "Your Majesty," General Kexmar entered the chamber carefully. "We have received Dr. Shin's final proposal." The Emperor turned from the window. "Tell me." "The humans are inviting the Empire to join what they call the Galactic Cooperative. It would be a voluntary alliance of species working together for mutual benefit, and if we refuse, they will respect our decision and withdraw from Imperial space. However, they have made it clear that they will protect any species that requests their help." Emperor Vorthak understood the implications. Many worlds in his empire were held by force rather than loyalty. If the humans offered protection to rebellious systems, the Empire would face uprisings it could not suppress. "What are their specific terms?" the Emperor asked. "Surprisingly simple, Your Majesty. They want an end to aggressive expansion and conquest. Member species would trade freely and share scientific knowledge. In return, they offer protection from external threats and access to their advanced technology." The Emperor considered this carefully. The Vorthak Empire had been built on conquest and domination. The idea of voluntary cooperation was foreign to everything he had learned about power and control. Dr. Youngsu Shin was completing his final report to Earth when Strategic Advisor Kyung-Ho Oh joined him in the diplomatic quarters. They had spent 3 weeks negotiating with the Vorthak Empire, and the process was nearly complete. "How did the Emperor respond to our proposal?" Kyung-Ho asked. "He's considering it carefully. This is the first time in his empire's history that they've faced a superior force that offered partnership instead of conquest." Engineer So Young Park looked up from her technical analysis. "The Vorthak technology base is actually quite impressive for their age. With some guidance, they could make significant advances in energy efficiency and environmental protection. That's assuming they accept our offer," Dr. Youngsu replied. "Pride is a powerful force. The Emperor may choose to fight rather than admit his empire is not the strongest power in the galaxy." Communications specialist Era Jung interrupted their discussion. Dr. Shin, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Gunwoo John. The Terra fleet is reporting something important. The transmission appeared on their communication screen, showing Admiral Gunwoo in the command center of his flagship. Dr. Shin, our long-range sensors have detected massive fleet movements throughout Vorthak space. It appears the Emperor is mobilizing his entire military force. Hostile intent? Dr. Young-soo asked. Unknown. However, our deep space monitoring stations show that other species in the galaxy are also mobilizing their fleets. Word has spread about the humans and everyone is choosing sides. Dr. Young-soo realized that their first contact with the Vorthak Empire had triggered a galaxy-wide crisis. Every species was now forced to decide whether to ally with the humans, oppose them, or remain neutral. How many human ships are currently deployed? Dr. Young-soo asked. 214 vessels are positioned throughout the galaxy. Each captain has orders to protect civilian populations and respond to requests for assistance. The revelation that over 200 human ships were already in position shocked even Dr. Young-soo. He had known about the exploration fleets, but the scale of humanity's preparation was impressive. On the imperial capital, Emperor Vorthak received reports of human ships appearing in systems throughout the galaxy. They were not attacking or threatening anyone, but their presence was impossible to ignore. Advanced vessels that outclassed anything in his fleet were quietly positioning themselves near major trade routes and population centers. Your Majesty, Intelligence Director Veltharion reported, we have confirmed that human ships are responding to distress calls from species throughout the galaxy. They are providing medical aid, rescue services, and protection from pirates. They're winning hearts and minds, the Emperor realized. While we debate whether to fight them, they're demonstrating that they are the new protectors of galactic civilization. Communication specialist Ira Jung was establishing permanent communication networks between human ships and interested species. Medical officer Yu Jin Song had set up emergency medical stations on 12 worlds that had suffered under imperial rule. The response has been overwhelming, Yu Jin reported to Dr. Young-soo. Species that have been oppressed by the Empire for centuries are requesting protection and medical assistance. Our ships are healing injuries that local medicine couldn't treat. Cultural Exchange Director Jun Ho Lim was documenting the various species and their unique cultures. Dr. Shin, the diversity of life in this galaxy is incredible. Each species has developed unique solutions to common problems. There's so much we can learn from each other. The reports from human ships throughout the galaxy painted a clear picture. The old system of rule through fear and conquest was ending. Species were choosing cooperation over conflict, and they were looking to humanity for leadership. Emperor Vorthak finally made his decision. He called for a public broadcast to every world in his empire. Citizens of the Vorthak Empire, his voice, reached billions of beings across thousands of star systems. We stand at a crossroads in galactic history. A new species has emerged with technology beyond our understanding and values we had forgotten. The Emperor paused, knowing that his next words would end 3,000 years of imperial tradition. The Empire accepts the human invitation to join the galactic cooperative. We will transition from a rule of conquest to a partnership of equals. Those worlds that wish to remain with us will be welcomed as voluntary allies. Those that choose independence will have our respect and protection. The announcement sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The mighty Vorthak Empire, which had ruled through fear for millennia, was voluntarily giving up its power. Captain Daeho Kim, still commanding the Soul's Vengeance in the Nexus Prime system, received news of the Emperor's decision with satisfaction. Signal all human ships, he ordered Communications Officer Ji Woo Choi. Begin Phase 2 of the integration protocol. Across the galaxy, human vessels began working with local authorities to establish the new cooperative framework. Medical teams helped heal the wounds of war. Engineers assisted with infrastructure improvements. Scientists shared knowledge that would benefit entire civilizations. Research Director Min Jung-yu established the first interspecies science academy on a neutral world near the galactic center. Scientists from dozens of species came together to share their knowledge and work on projects that would benefit everyone. The initial results are remarkable, Minjung reported to Earth. Each species brings unique perspectives to common problems. The Vorac have excellent metallurgy techniques. The Zephyrians have developed incredible biological sciences. The cooperation between different minds is producing innovations none of us could achieve alone. Captain Deho's final log entry reflected on humanity's role in transforming the galaxy. We came seeking knowledge and found a civilization trapped by its own fears. We offered partnership and discovered that strength shared is stronger than strength hoarded. The galaxy is vast, full of wonders we are only beginning to understand. The old empire ruled through fear and conquest. The new cooperative thrives on hope and collaboration. We have not conquered the galaxy. We have helped it find its freedom. The soul's vengeance prepared to depart for unexplored regions beyond the galactic rim. There were new civilizations to meet, new challenges to face, and new opportunities for cooperation and growth. Behind them, the galaxy was changing. Former enemies worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. Species that had suffered under imperial rule were rebuilding their societies with human assistance. The Vorac themselves were learning to use their strength to protect rather than oppress. Humanity had entered the galactic community not as conquerors, but as liberators. They had shown that true strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to protect and the courage to share. The age of empires was ending. The age of cooperation had begun.